Would you believe that out of every 100 rupees that the federal government spends each year, 52 rupees go on debt servicing? Sadly, this is true. During July-September 2022, the current expenses of the federal government totaled 1.832 trillion rupees. Of this, 954 billion rupees were used for domestic and foreign debt servicing. Domestic debt servicing alone consumed 835 billion rupees, which equals about 45.6% of the current federal expenses. The remaining 119 billion, or roughly 6.5% of the current expenses, were used for foreign debt servicing. These numbers are alarming. What is more disturbing is that there is no indication that they will see any substantial change for the better in the next 3 quarters of the current fiscal year. Domestic debt servicing will continue to grow as high interest rates on the government's commercial bank borrowing will likely remain high. Look at any recent treasury bills and Pakistan investment bonds auction and you may see a trend of rising yields persisting. Foreign debt servicing will also cost more in rupees terms if the rupee remains on the downward slide vis-a-vis major global currencies, especially the US dollar. The Ministry of Finance and the State Bank of Pakistan are making strenuous efforts to save the rupee from further depreciation. But all that good news of bailout forex inflows from international financial institutions as well as from Saudi Arabia and China can do is help the rupee make some momentary gains. What also matters is on what conditions and in what forms the promised $9 billion forex support would come from China and that of $4.2 billion from Saudi Arabia. During July-September 2022, defense spending totaled about 313 billion rupees, or 17% of the federal government's current expenses. This means that domestic and foreign debt servicing and defense spending together made up 69% of the federal government's total spending. Where do you think the remaining 31% of the current spending goes? 9.3% went to government employees' pensions, 5.6% goes on day-to-day running of the government, 5% on subsidies, and 10.9% on grants. Worried? Unfortunately, there's more. During the same period, just 219 billion rupees was spent on development. In plainer words, it means that out of every 1,054 rupees our government has in hand, it spends 835 rupees on paying markups on domestic debts and only 219 rupees on development. Development spending ensures future economic growth. If development expenses remain as low as they are today for a few more years, the outcome will be horrible for the economy. And that means debt servicing alone will continue to consume the bulk of budgetary resources, leaving lesser and lesser not only for development but going forward also for defense.